Okay, everyone, if you'll find your seats, please. And also, if you're wanting to speak this evening, either on an item or under citizens to be heard, the sign-up sheets are in the back. Also like to welcome a couple of people that aren't usually here. Mr. Frigerio, nice to see you here. He's with the TML Lawyers. And also another lawyer who is David. I'm not sure, do you still live in Castle Hills? No, I live in Crown Ridge. Okay. Well, that's a good place to live. It's good to see you, David. So now it is 6:32, and I will call the Castle Hills regular city council meeting to order and determine whether a quorum is present. Looks like a quorum is present. We'll start off with Mr. Pinkston. I don't think Mr. Pinkston's here tonight. So unless someone would like to volunteer to do the invocation, we'll pass that up. Okay. Next on the agenda, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Bernard Udemeyer, would you please lead us, please? Thank you, Bernard. Okay, acknowledgements and presentations. Okay, this evening we have a recognition for Mr. Dover. There you are. Would you come to the front, please? Fire chief. There you go. The other one. That was a fire chief. Yeah. I offered the police chief job too. Yeah. Well, he just carried a sidearm. Tonight, it's a good thing he didn't. But anyway, Mr. Dover started off in Kirby, Texas, as a firefighter, and then we were lucky enough to get him from Kirby as a firefighter, and then worked his way up through the ranks to chief. And now what I would like to do is give him this certificate of appreciation to Daryl, who's been with us for 20 years of service to the city of Castle Hills, from January the 1st, 1999, until January the 2nd, 2019. He was here, although he wasn't the chief, he was here during the Wedgwood tragedy. And so I guess what I'd like to do is present this to you, and also be watching your inbox, as I am going to have a private party for him over at Thai Topaz, and I'll be sending out invitations to those. Okay? Thank you, David.
I just wanted to thank the city, the residents, these guys over here, and those guys back there. It's very bittersweet for me to leave after 20 years. I always considered Castle Hills my home, and I thank the residents for all their support. Thank the city staff and, of course, council for the opportunities that I had here and everything that I've learned and everything I got to accomplish while I was here. I don't have to tell you guys this, but these employees are the best in the business, by far, anywhere, anywhere, state of Texas or anywhere else. The success of this city comes off the sweat of all these guys right here. And I just ask that you continue to consider that in the future. You know, so I thank everybody here for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dover.
Mayor, I know I know council already knows, and for public consumption, that our interim fire chief is Joe Hernandez. He's been with the department for about 16 years and was currently captain and named interim chief until we find a permanent chief. Thank you.
Th-
I can. Would you like to say a few words?
Sure, come on
Come on
up.
up. I don't put you on the spot, but
Mayor, City Council, City Manager, it's my opportunity and just grateful humbleness to take this and try to do Chief Dover's job or Chief Rito's job, if not exceed that expectations and keep us to par until we get that fire chief going.
Thank you. Appreciate it, welcome. I don't have to tell you welcome, you've been here how many years now? 17 years, wow. Congratulations on your appointment. Next on the agenda is citizens to be heard. First person on the agenda is David Earl.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I'd like to start off by wishing you a very happy new year. It's your first meeting of the year, and I hope this year goes better than any year Castle Hills has ever had. I'm here tonight to briefly address you on behalf of my client, Betty Howard, who is your neighbor across the street, longtime Castle Hills resident and a property owner catty corner to City Hall here. There we go. Is that better? All right. Sorry about that. Absolutely. I'm very tall, so sometimes the mic doesn't agree with me. But I'm here on behalf of my client, Betty Howard, who lives across the street. And I'm here to request, and I have requested to the city manager, that an item be put on next council meeting's agenda to discuss and possibly take action on a matter pertaining to Betty Howard. And it relates to real property and economic development. And because it does relate to real property and economic development, we have the benefit of being able to meet about this issue, which I hope is not a controversial issue, with one another outside of a public meeting prior to next month's meeting. Now, I have met with a few of you already and the city manager, but I would really like the opportunity to meet with the rest of you if your schedules permit. And so my office will be reaching out to you between now and next meeting and requesting a meeting with you. And of course, you can confer with your own city attorney about this, but it's perfectly permissible for us to meet and discuss this matter outside of an open meeting prior to that meeting, because it deals with real estate and economic development. And I just want to make that a matter of public record, pursuant to Section 5 or Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. So I thank you for your time, and I hope again you have a great new year. I look forward to meeting with you and discussing this matter and being back here again next month.
Thank you,
very
David.
much.
Okay, next on the list is Mike Flynn.
Mike Flynn, 111 Amerson Lane. During the last city council meeting of December 11th, Councilman McCormick apparently reached the limit of his civility. To his credit, Mr. McCormick promptly apologized to the mayor and the attendees for his outburst. I guess he is starting to experience some of the aggravation and frustration many of us have felt for quite some time. Ms. Winger got to the heart of the matter when she stated elections have consequences. That is an understatement. The consequences of the last council election include 3 staff that are likely to lose their jobs and 4 other staff that have quit, including the fire chief and city manager's administrative assistant. To be fair, I understand we have also filled 2 vacant police dispatcher positions. Ms. Winger uses the declines in the Castle Hills population to justify eliminating staff. However, her use of statistics is misleading, and I am here to set the record straight. According to the 1997 Comprehensive Plan for the City of Castle Hills, our city reached its peak population of 5,311 in 1970. I think that everyone can agree that the regulatory burden on municipalities has increased significantly since then. Over the next 20 years, the population declined to 4,198 and has held steady at an average population of 4,172 between 1990 and 2010. The most recent population data from the United States Census Bureau actually projected an increase in population for Castle Hills of 6% in 2017. This projected increase is consistent with the overall immigration patterns of the state. The true measure of city workload is the number of households, not residences. That is why we tax property and not individual residents. Between 1970 and 2010, the number of households in Castle Hills increased an average of 4.1% from 1,743 to 2,047. It then stands to reason that our tax revenue has similarly increased since 1970. I will use our house to illustrate how households are a more accurate projection of the need for city services and population. Prior to purchasing our house, there were 3 people residing in it. Now there are only 2. However, that house, with 33% fewer residents, I might add, still requires the same level of city services with respect to street maintenance, garbage, recycling, and brush collection, and police and fire protection. Since occupying our house, we have obtained over 8 permits for construction, mechanical, and electrical work, and tree trimming. We've also been burglarized twice. That is just for one household in 13 years of occupancy. As many of the homes in our city continue to age and new people move in, we will likely see a continuing increase in remodeling and permitting demands. The information I provide is readily available to anybody willing to expend a little effort to obtain it. If anybody questions my conclusions or wants to check my sources, I will be happy to provide you with copies of my data. Now that the record has been set straight and the correct data are at hand, I hope we can dispense with any further obfuscation. Unfortunately, because the facts do not fit a desired narrative, I am not optimistic. Consequently, the lack of civility that Mr. McCormick bemoans is likely to continue. For that reason, several members of this community are putting together a petition calling for the resignation of Ms. Winger, Mr. McCormick, and Mr. Gregory. Thank you for this opportunity to be heard.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, let's hold it down, everyone. Okay, next on the list is Bonnie Hopke. Okay, next on the list is Frank Paul.
Frank Paul, 112 Shalimar. Be a little redundant on what Dr. Flynn had to say. Ms. Winger keeps saying that elections have consequences. While you were campaigning, did you tell people that you were going to eliminate strategic personnel? Did you tell people that while walking that you were interested and wanted to possibly consider a mulching operation behind Public Works? Did you tell people that you were going to start pounding on our city manager from the moment he got here? Just because, in my opinion, with a certain amount of circumstantial evidence, I believe you just want to bring your friends back. But I doubt that you told him that. But you did lie about the impound lot that never was. In the fall of 2016, you wrote that the city council was hiring 7 more people. Where are they? I guess you just wanted to stir the people up and cause division in the city. In September 2017, you said council was going to be putting 4 more people on. Well, that turned out to be wrong too. Let me confuse you and possibly others with some facts. At the end of 2016, the city had 69.5 employees. That was a short one, little guy. But they measured the part-time dispatchers in halves because they aren't full-time, the ones that they hire for part-time. At the end of 2018, the city had 70 positions. Well, that's an interesting thing. From 16, you got 69.5, and 18, you got 70. Yes, elections do have consequences. Let me mention some facts about the budget. You wrote in September, Ms. Winger, that one of your letters you wrote, you saved the city $500,000 for streets and drainage. Well, that sounds pretty good. That $500,000 was made up of, let me put a little facts on it. $261,000 our city manager brought forth as a surplus. $50,000 was a transfer of funds that Mr. Gregory wanted out of our sinking fund for the next fire truck. That's going to have to be paid back sooner or later. Yes? The finance clerk, so anyway, there was $151,000 for the 3 employees that you let go of the positions. So that's really the only true cash savings that was taken care of was the $151,000. The other was all mayor's, or the other was something that our city manager brought forth. Your actions, in my opinion, have caused chaos in our city. The finance clerk was requested by the previous finance officer and the then city manager. Now that we have lost that person, Mr. Gregory has been so kind as to say he will sit with that person to see if the position is needed. Wow. Yet he voted against it 4 months ago. Too late, Mr. Gregory. Public Works Clerk, I understand that neither Mr. Gregory, Ms. Winger, or Mr. McCormick have been over and sit down yet to discuss the needs of that department. I've seen Rick working his tail off sick because he has nobody to help him and cover it. I suggest you do that, I really do. Most importantly, we have lost a fire chief. We have lost Ms. Thielen. They are very, very valuable, were valuable to this city. And I personally know that both of them would have preferred to have stayed here. But the continuing micromanagement, the continuing interference with their duties, with the duties of the city, they just didn't need the aggravation. Lastly, I have checked over the last 7 months, about half of the agenda items are from 3 council people who are doing their best to control, to manage, micromanage, take responsibility away from our mayor and our city manager. About half of the agenda items. Is that what you were elected to do? Change our form of government without having the citizens vote on our form of government? I checked the 4 years prior when I was on council and others, and Ms. McLean and Ms. Scott, there wasn't one agenda item that was put forth to try to take away the power of the city manager. Not one, not one. And of course, we respected the offices and we didn't try to micromanage everything. So I have to say that, yes, disappointment, absolutely, and I hear it all over the city. Let our city manager do his job, leave him alone, quit trying to circumvent him, quit trying to go around. Honesty.
Mr. Paul.
Okay. Honesty and integrity is what we expect. Where is it? Thank you.
Okay. All right, everyone. Mr. Udemeyer?
I'm a little shorter. Bernard Yedemeyer, 115 East Castle Lane. I just wanted to talk today about, I sent y'all an email about West Avenue and the size of the lanes. They're 11 foot now, and I've been doing some research for safety in cities, and this was one thing that was an easy fix for some cities to slow down traffic or to keep it at, I guess, a safe speed. And changing to a 10-foot standard, which means any lanes should be 10 foot. And doing that will give us like 4 feet on West Avenue, 4 to 5 feet on West Avenue, the length of it. And I was thinking using that 4 or 5 feet for the side that does not have a sidewalk. I think there's some issues with, I heard there was issues with right-of-ways and can't put sidewalks somewhere on that. So this will give the people a way that they, on that side, they can walk or bike or whichever. Just because we're going to reseal West Avenue anyways, so you have to restripe it after that. And I think this would be a great opportunity to take care of it. And see, you know, it doesn't affect anything. It doesn't affect traffic flow, doesn't affect buses, nothing. Only gives you an extra 4 feet on one side or the other, or 2 feet on each side. Okay, thank you. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you, Mr. Yedemeyer. Ryan, will you get with Mr. Yedemeyer and visit with him on the particulars of that particular item that he brought up?
Yes, Mayor.
Looks like it's some merit there. Okay. Let's move on to the consent agenda. And we're looking at the consent agenda or items that are self-explanatory to the city council or have been previously discussed and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussions of these unless a council member so requests.
I'd like to pull A.
Okay. The consent agenda is considered by the city council only and not supported to public discussion. Ms. Winger?
I'd like to pull A because I don't feel that it explains at all why the council voted the way they did. That's the whole purpose of the meeting. You know, just quoting what people say here, you know, in the audience is very good, but the public has a right to know why we voted the way we did, and there's absolutely no indication of that in here, so I think that needs to be added in.
So let the record show that Ms. Winger is pulling the item A to, I guess, restate the minutes, or we'll have to go back to the tapes and see exactly what was said on those, okay? We'll take a vote on that, on pulling item A. Paul? So in other words, a council member can pull it, and if the majority of council doesn't want it pulled, then it stands pulled? First time I ever heard of that.
Well, you just read that there will be no separate discussion unless a council member so requests.
First time I've heard of that. I've only been here 25 years. Okay, the next one is accept the financial report and special fund balance reports ending November the 30th, 2018. So with item number A pulled, then we're going to vote on item B. That's to accept the financial report and special fund balance reports ending November 30th, 2018. Have a motion.
So moved.
Have a second. All in favor? Thank you very much. Did you vote for it? Okay, so it was unanimous, thank you. Okay, I'm moving item number 13 up due to the fact that our TML lawyer has previous engagement tonight in another city. From what I understand, this will not take long, so we will retire into executive session at 6:56.
Can you indicate that we're retiring for under 551071 of the,
exactly
of the government code?
All right, we're retiring to consult with the attorney concerning a pending EEOC complaint, possible executive session pursuant to the Texas Government Code, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney. Ms. Winger brought this item to the table.
At 6:57?
Excuse me?
At 6:57?